My name is Adogs, and thank you all for coming to my channel. So today I'm going to be going over a deck that's coming out set 10 that I think is going to be a very powerful meta contender, and that is Gandiva. So I'm just going to go over his skills and then just elaborate why I think he's really strong, and then also look at support cards or cards that I think will work well with Gandiva, which will make it a strong meta contender. So what does Gandiva exactly do? So it has 3 different skills. So its first skill is Auto on the Vanguard Circle. When your opponent's rearguard is retired during your turn, you can choose a card from your drop and you bind it face down. Its second skill, which is Continuous on the Vanguard Circle. So during your turn, all of your front row units get plus 2000 power for each face down card in your bind zone. And then if your bind zone has 5 or more face up cards, this unit gets plus 1 crit. And that's last skill, so activate the Vanguard Circle once per turn, cost counterblast 1, and choose 5 of your opponent's rearguards with different grades, reveal the top 5 cards of your deck, retire all of the chosen units with the same grade as any of the revealed cards, and shuffle your deck. And if you retired one or less units, you get to draw a card and choose a card from your drop and bind it face down. So Gandiva himself is very powerful. The fact that once you hit 5 bound units, your front row gets 10k and the Vanguard stuff gets a crit. So that means that this deck isn't a deck that has to solely rely on Persona Ride, as it's already pretty much getting the bonus from the Persona Ride. Again, being able to just form Counterblast, potentially being able to retire 3 or even 4 cards depending on what the grades your opponent's field, really very powerful as well. And then it also has a good drawback, which is if for some reason you only manage to retire 1 card in the opponent's field, you still get to draw 1 and you still get to bind a card too. So let's look over the ride line as well and see what exactly the ride line does and why I think this ride line is also very strong. So first of all, we'll go with the Grade 1. So the Grade 1 has 2 skills. So Continuous on the Vanguard Circle. If your opponent has 1 or less rearguards, when you would ride Scarlet Flame Bow General Dippanel from Ride Deck, you can ride without discarding a card from your hand, so that's already strong. And then when this unit is read upon, if your opponent has 2 or more rearguards, you may call this card the Rearguard Circle. So regardless of what they do, you're either going to ride for free, or if they start to come in a board so you don't get the free ride up, you still get to call this card the Rearguard Circle. So either way, you're essentially plussing. You can either plus an aggression, because again this calls itself out, or you just again get to be able to just ride to ready for free, which is really strong. So that's definitely a very, very strong grade 1 for the ride line. And then for the grade 2 of the ride line, which is Scarlet Flame Bow General Dippanel, which is the grade 2, when this unit is read upon by a unit with Gandiva and its card name, choose one of your vanguards, and the cost of this unit's original actability is reduced by 1 counterblast until the turn. So what this means is, for example, if you do Rush in the early game, if you open the right pieces, the opponent can't damage deny you, because when you ride your Gandiva, its counterblast is removed. So there's essentially no reason why to damage deny Gandiva. So swinging at the rearguards, if you want to, or if you're swinging Vanguard on the rearguard, it doesn't exactly do much, because this works really well with what Gandiva's trying to do. You can't damage deny it, so that's definitely a very, very strong grade 2 to have. Now, with the support cards that I got, so we'll go with the Scarlet Flame Bow General Rugonet. So when it's placed on a Rearguard Circle, if you have a Vanguard with Gandiva in its card name, you can counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it, and if you did not, draw a card, choose a card from your drop and bind it face down. So this is a very, very strong card. Regardless of what happens, you go into plus. Either it's by retiring a card on the opponent's board, or you're drawing a card. And then either way, a card is getting bound for that counterblast 1. So it's helping get to what Gandiva wants, which is to get a lot of cards in the bind zone so that you're pumping your front row by a lot. So again, it's just a very, very solid grade 2. Next we have a Dragrat Alfaka. I don't know how to say that, I probably said that wrong, but anyway. Its skill is Auto Rearguard Circle. When your Vanguard with Gandiva and its card name attacks a grade 3 or greater Vanguard, you can cost counterblast 1 and bind this unit face down. Look at top 5 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 grade 3 or less unit card from among them, call to Regard Circle and shuffle your deck. So this is a multi-attacker, and it does not need you to retire any regards for its skill to proc, which is very strong. And then also with it binding itself and replacing another regard, again you're essentially plussing again, you break even, this regard goes, you get to call something out from the top 5, and it's also helpful in the bind zone. So again, it's pushing towards Gendiva's main effect, being able to get as many cards in bind zone so that your front run becomes stronger. So this is very, very strong grade 2. So as you can see so far, everything seems to be really, really strong, which is really good. Next we have Scarlet Flame Bow General Stroguna. So when it's placed on Regard Circle, if you have a Vanguard with Gendiva its card name, you can Soul Blast 1 and bind another Regard face down. You can choose one of your opponent's regards and retire it. If you don't retire, draw a card, choose a card from your drop, and bind it face down. So again, this one helps even accelerate the binds even more as you bind one of your own regards face down, and then you retire one of your opponent's regards. And again, because of Gendiva's skill, if you retire a regard, you bind a card face down from your drop. But again, if you aren't able to retire your opponent's regard, this will allow you to bind a card and draw a card again. So again, it breaks even. You're going to plus regardless. You either retire some of the opponent's board or you draw an additional card in your hand. So so far everything is just really solid support. This is just all in one set for Gendiva. Like if they did this for a lot more other decks straight out the bat, this would be crazy. Next we have Scarlet Flame Bow Soldier Boston. So its card skill. So order on the back of a Regard Circle. When your Vanguard with Gendiva and its card name attacks, if your bind zone has 3 or more cards, cost balance unit face down and countercharge 1. There are so many ways for you to bind cards, whether you retire cards or not, that this is easily achievable. And this countercharger is very solid because again, it lets you countercharge, but it also binds as well. So again, this is helping to actively get to those 5 cards in bind zone for Gendiva's skill to proc. So this is very strong. Instead, if you somehow open multiple, you can use multiple, bind possibly 2 of these cards face down, countercharge 2, and have 2 bound. So it's just ridiculous. It's just really, really good. Next we have Swordsman and Crimson Scales Banaya. So its skill is at the end of battle this unit boosted. If any player's regard was retired this turn, cost bind this unit and draw a card. So again, another way to accelerate the bind zone, and then also allows you to draw cards too. So essentially this card, you can be aggressive with this card, come on as a booster, boost one of your regards, and then at the end of the battle, you can bind it and draw a card. So it breaks even and again helps accelerate the binds of Gendiva. So far, of all these cards you can see, being able to hit 5 cards in bind zone seems like it's going to be relatively very, very easy, which means there are chances that on the first grade free turn, your Vanguard will have a crit and you'll get your front row 10k power. So if you have a full board, your Gendiva himself, if you have a boost up, would be 23k of crit, and then potentially your regards could be a base 20k or possibly 28 depending on what's being put down. And if you hit any triggers and stuff, it's just going to make the turns much scarier and much harder. So again, this is overall a really solid grade 1 for the deck. And then lastly, this card, which I think is really good with Gendiva. It is a little bit slow, as you need to have Persona over a second skill, but its first skill though is that when it's discarded from your hand during your ride phase, you can Soul Blast 1, put it on the deck and draw a card, so it helps active plus as well. But then its second skill is when it's placed on Regard Circle. If you Persona over this turn, you can counterblast 1, retire all your opponent's regards and column addition it. So if you do that, for example, you retire a column, and then Gendiva allows you to bind 2 cards. So this is another way to accelerate the bind zone as well. So for essentially a counterblast 1, you get remove a column and you bind 2. This is really, really good. And then the last card I'd like to talk about is this card here, which is the Scarlet Fang, Bones of Demolition. So essentially this is a bit of a faster version of the Persona Ride Grade 2, which is players with Counterblast 1, choose a column and retire all your opponent's regards in that column. So again, if you do have a column, you use this, you bind 2, retire 2. So again, it's another way to accelerate it's another way to accelerate Gandiva's game plan. So as you can see, all these cards have different ways of essentially getting cards in the bind zone so that you can have Gandiva's 5 bind skill off to give himself a crit. So I think because of this, I think Gandiva's just going to be a very, very strong deck. Another card I want to talk about was Best Harvest. Best Harvest skill was pretty much when a reel was tired, you get to draw a card. As long as you play the Best Harvest order. So that would also allow you to draw multiple cards. You break even with your reguards when they're trying to retire cards too. And then on top, you're also binding cards. So that's pretty much what I want to talk about today. I just think Gandiva is going to be very, very strong straight off the bat in this set. And depending on what other cards Gandiva gets in the future, it could become even more cracked. I think this deck itself, I feel like it's probably going to be tier 1, but even if it's not tier 1, I think it's going to probably be in the highest of tier 2, because being able to just bind your own cards and drop, and then also give your front row 2k power for each card on bind zone, and the fact that binding cards is relatively easy and you can essentially turbo it, I think it's kind of silly. And I think it's because of that, I feel like that Gandiva is going to be a very, very strong contender in the meta. But yeah, so that's what I want to talk about today. I think this is definitely a deck you should definitely watch out for, because I feel like this deck is going to be very, very strong. So that's it of out. See ya.